So going through, we'll just kind of go down to the left sidebar because there's lots of stuff available in here now. Site dashboard is what we're currently looking at now. The site messages is where Google communicates with you when you have a problem. See, back here in April, we had a notice of suspected hacking, and they let us know about that, and we were able to find it and fix it. Search appearance lists a few very good information in here. Structured data is one, and structured data is where you have any micro formats or rich snippet information that goes into your pages.
I have a quick question. I think you said something about site hacking. Is it actually speaking about like the domain or the server?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's eversparkinteractive.com did have a hack on it for a few days back in April, and they notified us of it, and that's what helped us figure out what was going on and go in and fix it. They have the security issues button down here goes into more detail on it. We won't have anything in that section right now because we don't have a hack on the site right now. But they do have this security issues down here that covers in more depth if you have a problem on your site for hacking. They give you more details there. So this rel equals author relates to this structured data, reviews, all of the microformat stuff that we had talked about. I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somewhere around there. This lets you know how many pages have them and how many pages that have them have errors. So it looks like we're using H cards, which aren't used as much anymore. They're a little bit deprecated, but we have a slight error in those H cards, so we probably want to go look and find out what those are. Perhaps update them to a new format entirely, like the rich snippets formats, perhaps. All right. Data highlighter is a way that you can actually do some of this structured data without doing any code on your site. They've got a full video here for how to do it. You can tag a page, give it extra information, and this is an example of it here. A few examples. You can actually tag upcoming events and things like that. The whole catch is just like with the code on the site. Just because you tag it that way doesn't mean Google would use it that way. It's still up to them to decide whether or not your site is worthy of the extra information displayed in the search.
Okay. You can do this without putting any code in your site.
Yes.
Based on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Should we be tagging everything that we produce?
Maybe, maybe not. All it does is spruce up the actual listing, so it depends on what you have to tag.
Okay.
So if you have reviews that you can tag through this, then and they're legitimate reviews and they have a rating next to them and all of that, you probably should tag it as long as they're positive. If you have products, it's probably a good idea to tag them. But if you really want it to be consistent and really well understood, it's probably better to go the code route as opposed to the tagging route.
Well, why am I tagging?
To get the stars underneath
okay.
Your listing for reviews, to get your address listed next to your listing.
And without tagging, I wouldn't have that?
You can do it through tagging or through coding.
Okay.
Tagging is just a way for those who don't know coding to do it a little easier.
Okay.
Can you not do both?
You probably could do both. I don't know what effects that would have.
How you would tag.
Was it? I'm trying to remember which one it was. Microformats.org is one way to tag H cards. Schema.org is the one Google recommends right now.
Coding it? It's the same thing, really. I mean, you're putting
code.
Yeah, put code on it.
Okay, so I misunderstood you there for a moment.
Yeah.
This is the code you would use. You would use schema.org code if you're going to put the code on the site in order to permanently tag them.
Okay.
With this, you can actually highlight the data. So let's go and just watch this video.
Hello, my name is Jack, and I'm a product management director here at Google. This is an introduction to Data Highlighter, a new easy way to tell Google about the structured data on your pages. Google uses structured data to provide better search results snippets, Google Plus snippets, and more. For example, if we know that a page on your site is about an event, we can show details like where the event is and when it is, right in the search results, making it easy for users to discover. You can already tell Google about the structured data on your site by adding microdata markup to your HTML. Data Highlighter is an alternative. It's a point-and-click tool that allows any webmaster to show Google the patterns of structured data on your pages without modifying the pages themselves, making the whole process super easy. To get started, input the URL of a typical page on your website containing structured data. When the page appears in Data Highlighter, highlight the important fields and label them. Google's understanding of the page will be reflected on the right. When you're done marking one page up, Data Highlighter will show you the similar pages from your site with data already highlighted. Review them and correct any errors.
Highlighter is
Once done, click Publish, and Google will apply these patterns to your entire site, regardless of its size. So Google can start showing off the structured data right there in your snippets. To try Data Highlighter, visit Google Webmaster Tools.
So you're saying you wonder if that actually has more of authority than even putting the code in there? I think that's really for people that don't know how to code, because you got to assume that most people don't know how to do that, and they want to create an easier alternative for them.
If I guess that the code is probably slightly more authoritative if done correctly, and but they're probably approximately equivalent.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the fact that most people, the majority, have absolutely no idea how to code. If you go in and you do that, now your code will be set up properly for them to see that data and turn around and possibly give you a higher ranking. Because, I mean, in reality, 99.99% of every website doesn't and will never have the proper coding.
Yeah.
Well, I doubt it would give you a higher ranking.
Right.
Well, I'm saying, if you're doing a search,
If all things are being equal,
right,
and
It'll improve your. Well, it would give you slightly more real estate, and it would improve your click-through rate, but I don't think it would move you from like position 5 to position 3.
because you have it. No,
from 5 to 3, not likely, but let's say you're at 40 or 100, could it move you up to 15 or 10 because the coding is right?
It certainly couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
I would agree with you there.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder though, for the same reason that people don't like using stuff from Microsoft products, are they ending up, if you do it this way, the shortcut, what I would consider a shortcut way, are they putting other stuff in your code that makes it very Google friendly but not Bing or otherwise friendly?
Oh, wow.
Possible too.
I hope not.
Well, they don't actually have access to your site, so they can't change any code on your site.
No, but what they're
But it does
saying
go.
is Bing has a
nothing free.
different set of rules.
Right.
So if
Sure.
you're optimizing for Google, I understand what you're
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
Absolutely.
saying. Kind of like, ooh, Bing says, ooh, that's a Google.
Well, if
Something
you
worthwhile
don't put a
to try.
title tag in there, like you highlighted something and said, okay, here's my keywords or my title tag. Okay, Google knows it, but
Bing
every
will
other
not
search
see it.
engine you go to, it never got coded.
We'll never see
That's true. So Bing
Yeah.
wouldn't know about the extra information. Yahoo wouldn't
Right.
know about the extra information. Only Google would know about the extra information.
And
Right.
you could optimize for each search engine, but they might conflict. There might be.
Well, we're going to learn a little bit more next week with Bing, right? So we'll see if they've got their own highlighter. And is it possible to highlight both of them? I guess so.
If you do that in the code, though, you kind of alleviate that.
If you do it in the code,
Yeah.
it's universal markup language, right? So all of the search engines use schema.org for markup, right? So that's why it's probably better to use schema.org if you know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, then this is just the alternative.
Yep. And again, I really don't think it would improve rankings. I don't even think from like position 100 to position 20 or anything like that, because I think this is extra information for Google to display to the users and not to actually change rankings. But we'd have to run tests to know for sure.
I didn't know that existed.
It's recent.
Okay.
1 month.
It's only been 1 month.
It's been a month or two. Like it's been within the year, I think.
Okay.
All right, HTML improvements is where it takes a couple of very common information pieces about your website that are possible problems, like duplicate meta descriptions, missing title tags or duplicate title tags, and let you know how many there are. And you can open it up and see exactly what they are. So we have a few duplicate meta descriptions on our blog. It looks like it's, blog page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and page 5 all have the same meta description. That's kind of standard. There's not a whole lot you can do about that, though perhaps something we could do to help that. Let's see if we have.
Why is there a second page on that blog?
Well, because we have that many items. So we already have rel equals previous and rel equals next. for the blog itself. So there's not really anything else we can do. We've already told Google this is effectively one long version of the same page.
Oh, sure.
Not sure where the next and previous links are, but that's something we can talk about later. But we've already given Google the information to say that this is actually one long page, not 5 separate pages. So they shouldn't be telling us it's duplicate meta descriptions in that sense, because they're really not. But perhaps their HTML improvements section isn't yet that sophisticated.
You can also you can follow but no index those pages too. That's probably
no index follow might be a good way to handle that too.
No index, and then just follow. This way, Google's not indexing that. That's probably another way to fix it.
They still crawl through it, they still pass value through it, but they don't actually index it.
Right.
Site links is an interesting one because you can't tell Google what site links you want to show up. And site links are when you have, you search for like a brand name. Like maybe I can search for Coca-Cola and it'll do it. It didn't. Let's try McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's did it. These are the site links. Full menu explorer, careers, restaurant locator, nutrition choices. It's sub-results underneath the main result that Google picks out and shows to users. You cannot tell Google which ones you want. All you can tell Google is which ones you don't want. So if one of the site links shows up in here and you said that's a terrible page, I don't want people going to that page directly from the search engine, it's a bad user experience, you can go in here and you can demote the site link. You grab the URL, put it in here, and say don't show that site link from this page because it just represents a poor user experience.
Will it not show that site link somewhere else, or only under your heading?
It only shows it here.
Mine changes all the time.
Yeah, you can't control what shows up, but you can control what doesn't.
What doesn't show up.
Yeah. So you could force careers to not show up. They decided they really don't want people going like searching McDonald's and then going straight to trying to get a job there. They'd rather people look at the menu and be more interested in the food itself, just hypothetically. They could take this careers URL, mcdonalds.com/us/en/careers.html, copy and paste that into here for the home page, if we had their Webmaster tools, and say, we don't want this site link showing up.
But it'll show up in another search result, right? I mean,
This
eliminate careers.
It's not search query, it's search result. So you tell it for a home page URL,
don't show that.
we don't want that site link showing up. All right, that's the search appearance information. In search traffic, we have search queries, and this is what Jason was talking about at the very beginning. Notice these numbers are no longer rounded off numbers. They are exact numbers now. Down here as well. Impressions for average background active, 430. Clicks, 122. Embed video in Gmail, impressions 112. Clicks, 17. These are now real numbers as opposed to estimated numbers. You will see no more of the less than 10 impressions or less than 10 clicks. These are all actual numbers now.
Does everybody have Google Webmaster Tools set up? Super important.
Yeah, I haven't used it in a while.
No, this is the whole reason why you should be. Just this right here.
Didn't give you much data before.
Yeah. So we can now see that even for the keyword SEO company, we've had 2 clicks from that exact keyword. So we can actually filter out what kinds of keywords we're getting traffic for. Now, unfortunately, since they took it out of analytics, we can't see which keywords converted. We can't see what they did after they came to the website after searching that keyword.
So you can't set goals within Webmaster Tools.
Right. So you can't say how many people searched SEO company and then contacted us.
I wonder why do you
know.
think they did this? Why do you think they separated it and put it over here rather than where you want to have goals?
Well, they took it out of analytics because of a technical issue with making the website secure. A lot of people would argue, and I would agree, that Google.com didn't need to be secure. It didn't need to be HTTPS and restricted information not passing to any other website. That's why the not provided started showing up, is because Google made Google.com completely secure in its searches so that it couldn't pass information anywhere else. All it passes is it came from Google.com. It no longer passes the URL that it came from. It no longer passes any keyword information, passes nothing else. They say it's for privacy reasons. There's debate over that as well. But at a technical level, if you make the site HTTPS, it stops passing information when you click on a link to another site.
There's a lot of speculation, conspiracy, that the reason why they pulled it off is because by not showing you the data, now they're kind of forcing you to use pay-per-click, so that you can have that transparency.
Because pay-per-click still pass the data because they use special URLs that pass the information through. They basically had a workaround for paid search that they didn't put into normal Google, into organic Google. So, I mean, they found a work-through for the people who are paying them, but not a work-through for those who weren't.
It's also showing your average position, too, where you're ranking for these terms, too,
Yep.
which is
Pretty good data to have.
Does it, yeah,
I was
so,
just about to say though, anybody that's not currently using this, I found this. Steven mentioned it. Like, God, it's over a month ago when Steven mentioned that the switch was made. This has been one of my most valuable tools, trying to help the other members of our team understand, what we're being searched for, where we're, lacking in position, search volume to a degree. I mean, kind of estimated, but it just really shows kind of like the inner workings of, what you're being searched for, how viable it is to your site, how, where you're ranking. This has been my most valuable tool in the last month.
And can you export that data?
yes, you can.
Export it to Excel? Okay, cool.
There's one important thing to note, though, about both impressions and the average rank. If you show up with more than one URL, say, for example, you have 3 URLs that show up for the same keyword. Perhaps one shows up on page 1, one shows up on page 2, and one shows up on page 3. If someone goes to page 3 and they see all 3 of those URLs, that counts as 3 impressions for that keyword, even though they only actually searched once. So there is that. Additionally, the average position is based on all of the impressions. So if you show up, just as a hypothetical example, say you're dominating first page, you show up position 1, 2, and 3 for this keyword. If you always show up positions 1, 2, and 3, you will end up ranking, your average position will be shown as position 2, because you're always 1, 2, and 3. It's average at the 3. So there are nuances. Yes, that would be a good problem to have. But that does mean that you can't just take average position 5.6 and say, oh, well, I have a page that tends to rank position 5.6. If you open it up and there's more than one URL ranking, then you have to take that into account. Venture to guess if you take the highest impressions, that might be one of them. Oh.
Rank for SEO packages?
We do. Not very well, but we rank.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's one. Digital design, digital campaigns. We have 2 URLs that are ranking. One's clearly an image ranking. And our positions are all over the place. This one impression here is somewhere in this mix. And it does change the number of impressions. It moves it up by 1, and it changes the average rank slightly. This is kind of a relatively benign case, but... So yeah, lots of very good information, just a couple of nuances you should be aware of. You can also look at top pages. It'll tell you the pages that get the most impressions and the most clicks. So our home page is the most popular, but that's really common for websites.
Although for Now Persman, his most popular page will be that autism, right? So
if he's getting organic traffic for it, yeah. All right. Next on the list is links to your site. This shows you the sites that link to you the most and the pages that get linked to the most. We get lots of links from BusinessInsider.com because we have kind of a feed with them. When we make a post, it gets also posted on their site and then links back to our post automatically. So we clearly have a strong connection with Business Insider. We've got a good chunk of links in Google.com. That's most likely Google+. Then we've got a few links from client sites and PR Web and things like that. It also lets you know how your data is linked in terms of anchor text. What's impressive about this is it used to be this give a really small sample of the links that you got, but now they go much deeper. They still don't show everything, because they don't want to give away everything that they know about your backlink profile. But they give you a lot more information than they used to.
And this is, I mean, I remember when we used to rely on Yahoo for this data.
Because Yahoo gave you everything it found, and Google just didn't.
Google didn't give you nothing. If you put in a link command and then your URL, nothing would ever show up.
I think they've actually disabled the link command.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point. But even this, like, it shows 926 domains. It would give you, like, the first 100 and wouldn't give you any more information. Right. But because they've been so strict about bad backlinks and saying you have to find out where your bad backlinks are and get them disavowed or removed, otherwise we're not going to trust you, they've given you more information about the backlinks. I still don't think they give you all of it, but they definitely give you a lot more.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the disavow. I don't know if we'll have enough time to talk about it. We can touch on it just a little bit, but that's why when we do disavows, we use this as one source of collecting the bad links, but then we also use multiple tools like Majestic SEO, Ahrefs. What are the other ones that we use? Vincent?
Open Site Explorer.
Open Site Explorer, that's the other one, yeah.
Spyglass.
And then we put them through Spyglass, yeah.
Spyglass has its own resources, but if you've gone through Google Webmaster Tools and the other three, Spyglass isn't going to add much of anything else. But it's a tool that will let you crawl through all of them and see which ones are still actively live.
So this isn't linking to your site. Is that regardless of which page it's linking to?
Right. You can actually open up one, and it will give you which URLs link to you, or which URLs on your site that it links to. It doesn't necessarily give you what URLs on their site link to you, but rather what URLs they link to for you.
What about determining what links are bad? I think there's a lot of confusion on that.
That's kind of a whole other conversation.
We'll put that on the agenda for another week or two.
Is this in real time?
I doubt it's in real time. It's probably on a time delay.
I think it's
the last time that they probably cached those pages, right? So there's links up there that they haven't cached.
Because I'm one of the reasons I asked for, like, for that Avante page comparison, we can't yet see the links that the page has gotten from using the traditional tools, but this might give you.
You can probably have better accuracy with this because I would assume Google cached that page and they probably have some data.
Right.
But I don't think that Google has cached all of the places that link to it yet, so you're not going to be able to do that. This is really good data to just kind of, if you want to get bored on a Sunday, to go in and start looking at.
It's not showing any links to the Avante pages yet. It's showing a few links to some of the Avante blog posts, but not to the actual Avante page.
No, he just.
No, I switched.
So how long ago was the blog updated versus? I mean, you get a sense it's a week?
Which blog are you referring to?
There were a handful of blog posts. They probably happened very quickly after the news story broke, so that's probably a couple months ago.
Okay. A couple months, and then the stuff that's happened in the last month hasn't shown up yet.
Right.
So your question about real time, we're talking not days, but a month.
Well,
potentially.
We launched that notification 2 weeks ago. Last week.
Last week, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if Google is caching the page, so a week from now or whenever it is, everything is about, even when it does put that time to come over.
To go out and cache all those links.
Yep. And we're technically making the assumption that there are links out there, so it's possible that people only shared it through social metrics and didn't actually link to it. We hope that's not the case, but it's possible. Internal links shows you all the pages that it's aware of that links to a particular page on your site from your own site. So we can see there's 825 internal links from the blog. This is good for troubleshooting. If you know there's
Not from the blog.
To the blog, right. So if you know there's a particular page on your site it's having trouble ranking, it doesn't seem to be getting indexed very well, it rarely gets crawled, you can use this to find out, well, how many times does Google know that you link to your own page? And if it's one, then perhaps you need to find more places to link it internally. If it's 100, then probably you're fine, and that's not the issue. You can look somewhere else.
And it's really important so that whatever page that you want to rank high on Google, maybe it's like a page about something. If you're 6 layers deep from your home page,
you're telling Google that this really isn't that important, right? So if you got a link to one page and then link to another page and link to another page, you know, we call it page sculpting, where you can actually link from the home page to that page, and this way it'll give it a nice boost.
Next on the list is manual actions. We do have a partial match. I think this hack site is old. We don't really have a problem with that anymore. But a natural links to your site, we are aware from some of our old practices from when it was okay to do them, that we do have some unnatural links pointing to the homepage for some keywords like Atlanta SEO Company from our old tactics that we no longer do at all anymore.
We were suspicious that maybe a competitor maybe attacked us too.
That's also true, because after we stopped doing those tactics, suddenly like an extra 2,000 links in that style showed up somewhere, and we have no idea where they came from. So we think it might be a competitor doing it to us. But in the manual actions, this is where you can see that they've actually, like a person at Google has applied a penalty to your site of some kind. And this is when you have to do a reconsideration request in order to get it lifted. Some of them will get lifted without a reconsideration request, but if you want to push it along faster, you have to do a reconsideration request to get them lifted. If you're positive you have a penalty, but it's not showing up in here, that means it's an algorithmic penalty, and the only thing you can do about it is figure out why it's algorithmically penalized and change it. And if it's algorithmically penalized because of backlinks, that can be really hard. But
Can you talk a little bit about when we were in Vegas, probably a year and a half ago, we met with Vanessa Fox, who created the and it was just when this out came out. She talked to us, not just about videos as well, about the proper way to use but it's not. That seems to have become even a more important topic of when you should use it, because the fear is that you see some crappy links and you go and you say, or what they don't want to do is set up a situation where you can do some spammy stuff and then if it doesn't work, go ahead and disavow it. And then just do some more stuff and if it doesn't work, go and disavow it. So it's really a complete audit, right, of the whole site, and they're going to see everything. So you better be prepared and have everything buttoned down before you go down
that was the day that, when we met with Vanessa Fox, that was the day that actually Google revealed the disavow tool. So there was still a lot of question about what is this tool, and a lot of conspiracy thoughts that were happening around that. One thought was that the whole reason why Google came out with this disavow is so you get, all of their users to now give them the data of where the spammy sites are to make the spam team's job easier.
Right.
So if you have everybody volunteering this data now, saying, all right, here's my 100 spammy sites, and here's my Hummy spammy sites. That was more of like a regulated that they didn't have that data.
Right.
I mean, Honeypot was, they couldn't necessarily get that same kind of data. So there is a lot of speculation, and a lot of the heavy SEOs were saying, don't ever use the disavow, because now you're basically opening your hand to Google and saying, hey, I'm guilty, and so that was the speculation. But as we've experimented with it a few times, we've seen some success, and then we also have seen some case studies where
we followed the disavow and still nothing has happened yet, right? So.
And it is also true that if you followed Matt Cutts over the past year or two, he's become much more lenient about when you should do a disavow. There's actually a video where it said, what should I do if a porn site links to me? And his answer is, go ahead and disavow it. It's no big deal. If you had nothing to do with that link and you think it's harming your site, go ahead and disavow it. But
everything it's all about to now it's an ongoing. If you see three that pop up that you have nothing to do with, go ahead and let them know. So roll update.
Now the question is, what do they do with that data? Because we've done full disavows and seen nothing happen, and then we've done full disavows and seen things shift. But of course, we're never doing just a disavow. We're always doing other things to try to help too. So I don't know if it was the disavow in any given case. And there's actually a big survey that happened a couple months ago for webmasters asking them, if you file a disavow, has it helped you? It came back with something like 15% of people who filed a disavow says that it helped them. So it's a pretty low success rate right now. That doesn't mean it'll always be that way. But in general, I would say unless you have a lot of bad backlinks, unless you have some kind of penalty, it's not worth doing the disavow. Unless you do have this like entire chunk. If you've got this 1,000 backlinks that you know are bad, and you're worried about them counting them as even worse in the next few months, maybe do disavow them. But if you've got a backlink profile of 10,000 and you've got this 10 links over here that are bad, I wouldn't try to flag those. I would let them stay naturally.
Google had to come out with something like this because there's a lot of, banter within the SEO industry
that talked about negative SEO and
they said, hey, don't do any spammy stuff because we could penalize you. And everybody was like, well, if that's true, then what's stopping my competitor from using robots to go out and build hundreds of thousands of links to my site? And now I'm a victim here, and you're saying that I'm the culprit. So now you're going to penalize me for stuff that I don't necessarily control. So Google, their whole stance on that for a long time was, well, we know when your competitors will do that, and we won't take action like that, and we're like, well, how really could you know,
Mm-hmm.
So Google had to come up with an answer for this because the negative SEO was actually starting to work, and it was working like a charm, and when you start to get into the PPC side of things, when I say PPC, I don't refer to pay-per-click, porn, pills, and casinos, that's the PPC side. That is like the whole strategy, it's not a matter of how could you outrank somebody? It's a matter of how could you get them to rank lower. That's the strategy, and that's in that whole world. So, and I have I'd have to dig it up, but I have a really good video of a guy that presented to a small group of people that talked about all of the tactics that he uses as a form of negative SEO, and it's just phenomenal. Some of the stuff that he was doing was just like, wow, but I'll have to reference that video and maybe we can watch it.
Mm-hmm. Next is index status. This shows you how many pages are indexed over time. Basic just gives you a chart of pages indexed. Advanced, you can get a lot more information. You can do ever crawled, removed, and then update, and you can see that we had a spike in crawled pages here, and we could possibly look into why that was. Perhaps we've got some coding issue that makes a bunch of pages appear that aren't really pages, and that's why they weren't indexed. Or maybe we did actually make a change that allowed a bunch more pages to be accessible. This could be good or bad. But you can see that the total index continued to go up, just not as fast as the ever crawled, and no pages have been removed, so we don't have any pages that we wanted indexed at one point and we removed ourselves, or that Google decided this page doesn't deserve to be indexed anymore and we're going to move it. So that's a positive sign. Content keywords are what keywords show up the most in your site. Lawyer shows up the most on our site.
Really? That's not good.
It's not the best for us. No, we should probably.
SEO lawyers. An accident lawyer.
that makes no sense.
It's a whole new category.
It should be about marketing and SEO, and I guess that.
If I had to guess, it's probably because for a long time, all of our blogging was about our lawyer clients.
So is this more for density or for relevance?
Both.
Yeah.
In this case, I'm looking at this like Google thinks we're a legal site, not an SEO site.
An ambulance chaser, actually.
We found the keyword. They found the keyword lawyer 12,000 times in our site.
What?
Found. It looks. This is the interesting thing, though. It looks like they're finding it in Excel files. So perhaps that's why, because like
Google's crawling. We're doing that post, and we have all the Excel files. How is Google accessing that?
From the top 50 lawyers?
The 50 top lawyers that we're doing?
Oh, your post?
My post. How is Google crawling that? That's not good. That's a hack. That's vulnerable.
They must not be crawling Excel files that are hosted for information.
That's not good. We got to fix that.
Top URLs, there you go.
How many years have you been practicing law?
And that's probably why it's 12,000 times, is because, well, if it's a big spreadsheet of keywords, well, lawyer and attorney are going to show up in those keywords a lot. So.
That's also interesting to know that. I mean,
I want to
Set up a spreadsheet on your website.
But this, hold on, this isn't invisible. Well, it is, actually. It is invisible because you can actually click on it to download the spreadsheet. So it's real hard. We have to no follow, no index. So.
But can
yeah,
you
we
not,
could robots that text them out.
Can you not password protect and just put the password there?
But this is, we
next
want
the
it to be
link?
visible, so we want people to click on it to download it.
So
That's
wait a
what I'm
minute.
saying.
Was it on your FTP site?
We're
how
saying
did
the
they get
same
to
thing.
it?
It's in the uploads folder of WordPress.
Just
put
in
a
an
little
upload
gate
folder.
that a real
But
human can get.
you could just do the
Pass,
same
that
thing.
a
We don't want to have
Google
people
can't.
entering passwords to download this.
What?
So instead, we would probably just make it so that it's no index, no follow.
Okay.
That's really the
Yep.
solution for that.
You could go into robots.txt and put in a parameter.
you guys put that post up, what, a week ago?
There's no links to it on our site. I don't know how Google is going to
Yeah, but I mean, if that's working for one person, then
I mean, I doubt we're ranking for lawyer.
strategy now that
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. You put a
Exactly.
spreadsheet
Game
on
it.
your website with all
We
the
just
keywords you're
discovered
looking for,
something. We could
and,
break this.
and they'll index it.
I would do it.
Let's throw one up on one of our own sites and see what happens.
We should definitely test and see what effect that has.
When it works, everyone will be quiet.
Oh yeah.
It stays in the
We'll,
script.
we'll sign the NDA on the way out, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I doubt Google's saying, well, clearly the whole site is about lawyer because they have a few pages that are all about it, but
For the people.
Oh, really? It's definitely better.
Yeah,
SEO is way down here.
that's funny.
SEO appears 3,000 times.
As opposed to 12,000.
But I mean, I think Google's intelligent enough to pick out pages as opposed to the entire site. I don't think Google now thinks the entire site is about lawyer. They probably think that post is all about lawyers now, and it is. So
Are we ranking number one for lawyers?
we are not.
How about for accident lawyer attorney? Try those 3 keywords. And see what it does.
Accident lawyer attorney SEO. Well, the page is not. There's no link to it, so I don't even think Google has crawled that page yet. They haven't cached it.
It's just law firm SEO.
Hope I spelled top correctly.
Go. 50 most valuable.
So here's the post, and then you can click on it. So if you download.
Yep. So Google's following this link.
Follow that link.
And then it's going to open up a spreadsheet. So here's all the keywords that law firm ranks for. It's really good. I mean, this is a great post, but
1,582 instances of lawyer in this file.
yeah.
That's
So you're right.
quarter
I got
of the
that.
reference. That's just a quarter of the reference.
So
Yeah, but there's
Google-
another
what
keyword
came
file
up?
there, another keyword file there, another keyword file there, etc.
What happens when you did the Google search? Do that Google search again for accident lawyer attorney.
With John not being
I'm
here.
curious.
Like site colon never spoken or active, or just accident lawyer
That's
attorney?
it. Let's see what comes up.
Like
What's
I
in the
should
top?
now.
Lawyers, personal injuries, pros. That's interesting. They got their breadcrumbs to be a special symbol. And we'll accept it.
What are you looking for now?
He was curious what shows up for accident lawyer attorney. Bunch of stuff not related to us, really.
Right.
All right, so yeah, that's some information.
Yeah.
Y'all get a lot of phone calls asking for personal injury help.
Well, that's because we got a lot of lead gen.
No idea.
Do you?
Man, words are open up to them.
All right.
We have a lot of legal websites.
Oh, okay.
When we first put them out there, and they started ranking all over the country. We didn't have a successful call center, so we were getting all of these injury calls.
People looking at the domain registration and seeing what the number.
Well, no, they were in car accidents. They're like, hey, I was in a car accident. I'm like, okay.
We built the sites in preparation for getting someone to send the leads to, but we didn't have anybody yet.
Got the names down and like, this to our lawyer friends. We're like, guys, can you handle this? And Jay and I were like, we think, sure.
Our phone was ringing off the hook.
Wow.
Our phone was ringing off the hook because we were ranking for so many different terms, like Houston, Dallas, New York, Manhattan, that, our phones were just ringing. People were getting into car accidents and they need help.
And so we were taking the calls.
And I'm writing them on little sticky notes. Tell me a little bit more.
I saw when
Sorry to hear that.
I saw when you had all those domains registered.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for those domains and I'm like, who is there with Spark Interactive doing attorney domain names in Atlanta? I didn't get it.
So now what we do is we actually have it goes to a call center and we have a lawyer in every market that gets those leads.
And we sell the leads.
That's a lead gen.
Yeah.
Alright. Next thing on the list is remove URLs. If you put in a no index through the robots tag or use the robots.txt file to block it, and it's still indexed, you can use this to make the URL get taken down from Google faster. There's not a whole lot of situations in which you want to have fewer pages indexed in Google, but it can happen. Perhaps a paid search page that has duplicate content on it got indexed accidentally. So you put it in robots.txt to make sure it's getting blocked, and you come in here and you tell Google, I don't actually want that page indexed because the organic page already exists and it's over here. So that's an example of when you might use that.
This is the only way that you can communicate back and forth with Google, really. So if
If you don't have this, you should have it set up.
But you can't do that with spreadsheets, can you?
We could, we just have to block them first. We have to use robots.txt to tell them that we don't want these to be considered pages. Yeah, so no index these pages. And we could just wait, because Google will eventually no index them anyway. Or if we want them taken down faster, we can come in here and tell them to remove it. Next is crawl errors, which will give you a graph of crawl errors over time. So we've got about 250 now. A lot of that is messiness from our blog and old posts and things like that we just haven't had a chance to clean up. But you can see that there are no other errors in here. So if it saw server errors or 500 level errors, or if it saw 404 liked pages, which is when it loads as 200, but it loads like with blank content, it would show these in here in other tabs. And notice that there was some stuff in the news about how Google has more bots out there than they used to for different types of things. So smartphone is a different bot, and it sees a total of 4 404 errors, and feature phones see no 404 errors. So all three of those are different bots that Google sends out, different spiders.
A feature phone and a smart.
The one that has Google Whisper.
A feature phone is a phone that like does text messaging, calling. It doesn't have a real browser.
Like a flip phone.
Yeah, a flip phone is a feature phone.
Yeah.
Defined by its features, and that's it, I guess. I don't know. It's actually an old phone industry term that carried over into Google. Crawl stats. Do you know how many times your pages are crawled a day, how many kilobytes are downloaded a day, and how long it takes in milliseconds for each page to be downloaded on average per day?
It's almost like looking at your server log.
Kind of. If you saw like a major issue, like maybe one day you had the site go down, you could see that the pages crawled per day dropped off, and you would see when that was. If you see major shifts in this, that could be something to look into and find out what happened on that day. I would bet this one is probably when we posted the top 50 lawyers. One of these two spikes, I bet, is when we posted the top 50 lawyers, because it probably downloaded all those Excel files that day.
Right, yeah.
So it was a whole bunch more data that it downloaded. But the number of pages crawled didn't go way up that day, so it must have been big files that it was downloading. So it's probably one of those 2 days is when we uploaded that one full of Excel files.
Yep.
So this is just kind of something you can look at, and you can draw some insights from it, but more often than not, there's not really anything useful here. But every once in a while there is. If you see that the pages crawled per day dropped off and became like 2 per day, then you know something's terribly wrong and you need to fix it.
Something's blocking.
Mm-hmm.
We use this one a lot.
Yep. Fetch is Google. You can come in here and you can put in any URL, Google will immediately go crawl that page. You can do that up to 500 times. I think it's like 500 times per month or something like that.
And then what is the 10 times though?
What's the difference?
That's the submissions. So you can fetch as many times as you want. Once it's been fetched, they move the link. Where'd they move it to? Let's try a fresh fetch.
It's pending.
There we go. Submit to index. This is what is limited to 10 times.
Okay.
So that forces that.
This forces Google to look at it. Submit to index is what would actually force Google to recache it, and you can tell them to say, hey, I want you to look at this page specifically, or this page and everything it links to. So you can basically force Google to do a fresh crawl of your site by using this. Yeah. Whenever we made a change, we needed it to be shown in Google quickly, we have used this tool. Enough for all of our clients. Yeah, pretty much as needed.
It's indexed and goes on the database?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily happen. And oftentimes if you post a new page on a site that gets, like as you saw for our crawl stats, on average, Google crawls 300 pages a day. So if we post something new and we link to it from the home page, we don't really need to do this fetch as Google because Google's going to see it within a day anyway.
Hey Steve, it's 9:37. Let's try to speed it up just a little.
All right. Blocked URLs, check your robots.txt to see what URLs are blocked. And if you can put in any URL here and test it, and it will tell you whether or not Google is correctly being blocked. And you can make changes in here to test them. But keep in mind, changes here don't actually change your robots.txt file. So if you make changes here, you then have to upload that to your robots.txt file. So just a way to test to make sure your robots.txt file is set up correctly. Sitemaps, you can submit XML sitemaps on this page. And we've got a few errors in our sitemap, so we might want to take a look at it. But you can see that we have a total of 304 submitted pages, and 290 of them are indexed. So we've got about 14 pages that we've said, these are pages we want indexed, and they're not indexed yet. So we can look into it, why that is. URL parameters, if your site uses parameters for things like sorting and searching, you can tell Google which ones are for tracking and which ones actually change the content on the page using this this field right here. So
this way you don't have any duplicate content problems.
It has already found automatically these, and the default is let Googlebot decide whether or not these make changes. And they're more often than not, if it shows up here, then Google thinks they're not really making changes. But we could tell Google for sure one way or the other using this tool. And if you're about to add a new parameter, like a tracking parameter, perhaps a parameter that swaps out phone numbers on the site so that you can track phone calls from that link, you could add that parameter here and say, don't count this parameter as changing the page. It's another way. Canonical tags can do the same thing. So you don't even have to use this tool. But it is a way to tell Google that this parameter doesn't actually change the page. Don't count this as a new URL. Just count it as a tracking URL. And this is really the same page. Security issues. They haven't detected any. This is where it would give you more information about if your site hacked. Other resources, these are other tools that Google has. They're not part of Google Webmaster tools. They're just things related to it. Structured data testing tool. You can run some code through it and see if you did your highlighting or your markup correctly. Structured data markup helper. It's more help for how to use the really easy highlighter. So apparently it's not so easy that they don't need a special help page, but they have it there. And just a few other things. Google places information in Google Merchant Center, page speed insights for checking how fast your page loads and give you help on how to fix that. Just some stuff to look through. And then Labs is anything that they're still working on. It's not officially part of Webmaster Tools, but you can kind of play around with it if you want. Author stats, we're not seeing author stats right now for Everspark Interactive. The question is that because our authorship isn't set up correctly, or because we don't have authorship? Or because this tool isn't fully working yet. You don't know yet because it's under Labs. And instant previews is cool because another one that they're testing, and they're not, it's still in beta, if you will. You can put in a URL, and Google will show you what it sees from its different bots. So what it sees from its desktop bot, its mobile bot, and its feature phone bot. It will give you screenshots of what it thinks your site looks like on all of those devices. So if you're ranking well in organic, but you never rank in mobile, run your URL through this tool. Maybe it doesn't load correctly according to Google for mobile. And if that, maybe it's getting filtered out of the mobile results because of that. Disavow is something else entirely.
Yeah, we'll talk about that maybe
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
It is technically part of Google Webmaster Tools, but you can't get to it from the normal menu. You have to go through another Google link in order to get to it. Because they don't want people just who don't know what they're doing using it. So you have to dig in order to find out where it's at. But it is technically part of Google Webmaster Tools.
All right, so thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. So
This is being recorded, so we'll probably put this up on our blog if you ever want to re-reference it.
and next week we'll talk about the Bing Webmaster tools too. We'll use Everspark as an example, so make sure that we have it. I'm not even sure if we do.
I think we do. Limited. I'll be cramming a little bit. I have some experience, but not a whole lot.
So other than that, that's just a wrap up. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job, Steve.
Okay.
All right.
Real good.
Good job.
No. Mm-hmm. Service unavailable. Those could be temporary. It's probably slow server issues. Yeah.
Right. Might run another call with it today.
It can be